Good evening, my dear students. Welcome to my channel Learn with Ruby. As this is my second video of the lesson, the best Christmas present in the world. The lesson is in three different parts. First part is already discussed in the previous video. Kindly go and watch it. Okay, that part was about the first half where we discussed about various characters. The lesson starts with the author finding a roll-top desk in the junk shop at Bridgeport. After getting it to the home, he started to repeat. He opened a drawers. There he found a small tin box. Within that there was an envelope, which was addressed to Mrs. Jim Macpherson. So here, Jim is the captain of Tommy, that is England army, and the opposite army was German named Fritz. So there the captain was Hans Wolf. Okay, let's discuss what happens next. The letter was written on 26 December 1914. So the letter is written during the First World War. Soon after the Christmas celebrations, Jim Macpherson is writing a letter to his wife, Connie. Connie is now 101-year-old. Let's see what content was written. The lesson starts with, Dearest Connie, I write you in a much happier frame of mind. I'm very glad and delighted to write you this letter because something wonderful had happened just now. What is that wonderful event? The wonderful event is obviously Christmas. We all were standing at the trenches. Trenches means here you can see the picture I have used in the black and white photo. Both the armies were at our trenches. Then the morning was crisp and quiet as a winter morning should be. So as we have seen, December usually winter season it is, and that's the reason Santa Claus comes. We were all standing in our trenches yesterday morning, Christmas morning it was. The beautiful as it should be. Cold, frosty, crisp and quiet. Qualities of the day you need to remember. Next, I should be able to tell you that we began it. Means we did something. But the truth is, I am ashamed to say they began. They means Fritz, German army began. Someone came from their side waving a white color flag. So you should remember, white color always indicates peace and harmony. Then we all were calling out to the no man's land. So in the down picture you can see World War I, trenches, the black and white picture. And just down the border named another picture I have used. That shows no man's land. Here some wires have been used, but usually there won't be any wires. Okay. They were calling out to the no man's land. No man's land refers to the land between the two countries' border belongs to none. Okay. Someone came and shouted at us, Happy Christmas, Tommy. Tommy is English army. Then someone began from our side too, wishing Happy Christmas to you too. We got our surprises. Some of us shouted back, Same to you, Fritz. Same to you. We all were surprised from both the team because this haven't happened before. I thought that would be that. Means being a captain, it is his responsibility to look all the pros and cons of the event. So what he was thinking, as someone came from the opposite side and they are wishing us Happy Christmas, there may be something behind. Some negative thought maybe they're having. So I doubted. We all did. But I was wrong. There was nothing. I was wrong because there was no trick. Then one of them was up in the grey coat. The uniform color of the Fritz army, that is German army, was grey greatcoat. Waving white color flag, they shouted, Don't shoot lads. Lads means don't shoot friends. So actually this lesson has been taken from the novel No Man's Land, a film by the Danes. A lot can happen between the lines. Between the lines refers to the borders. A lot can happen between the lines. This was very interesting. So from that a part is taken as a lesson. Someone shouted, then another one, and so on. Like this, most of the people came to no man's land. Keeping their heads down, I told them it's a trick, but it wasn't. Looking at that, the German people were coming. I shouted that there may be a trick, but actually there wasn't any trick. Okay, you can see Germany, Düsseldorf, and two different maps have been used here. Then they started to shout each other that they are having something special to eat. One of the German was waving a bottle above their head. They showed the bottle of rum or a liquor. It's a Christmas day, Tommy. We have snacks, we have sausage. We meet you. Yes? Means, shall we come there? Shall we meet together? Shall we celebrate together? By this time, there were dozens of them walking towards across no man's land, not a rifle between them. They came at no man's land without a rifle, without any instrument. Little Private Maurice was first up. Means from England's side there was Little Maurice. Come on, boys, what are we waiting for? He said, we are still waiting. Let's go. They have come to enjoy with us. And then there was no stopping. There was no stop for any of the armies. So they all were enjoying each other's company. I should have stopped them being a captain of the army, but I haven't thought it. Then all along their lines and ours, two lines were seen. There from opposite side, a line of the people were coming at the no man's line, and the same was happening here. England army, that is Tommy soldiers, were also going at the no man's land. Grey coat, khaki coat. Grey coat, German, khaki coat, England. Meeting in the middle, and I was one of them. I was part of this in the middle of the war. Which war? First World War. In the middle of the war, we were making peace. Here I have shown you some pictures about sausage and the liquor schnapps. That is very famous in Germany. Okay, then they started to discuss. Two captains from both the armies stand together and started to share their personal and their views. They started to greet each other. Dearest Connie, my feeling when I looked in the eyes of Fritz. So Fritz was the officer, the captain of Hans Wolf. Fritz captain was Hans Wolf. Gripping my hand warmly and holding. I am from Düsseldorf. I play cello in orchestra. Happy Christmas. So earlier those days what happened? They were before joining the army, they were in other professions. But as they need some soldiers and all, they began for the love of nation. So Hans Wolf was from Düsseldorf. I have shown you in the picture. You can see yellow color borders. Germany is there and Düsseldorf is there. So he used to play cello in orchestra. And then Jim Macpherson replies, Happy Christmas to you too, Hans. I am school teacher from Dorset. So here is a England map. Dorset you can see. Then, oh, Dorset, he smiled. I know this place very well. Then Jim was shocked. Really? Have you been to Dorset before? Then he replied, No, I haven't. But then how you got to know and you spoke so well English? Then Hans Wolf said, I have learnt all it from my favorite writer Thomas Hardy. I never been to Dorset, but I know it very well. I had learned all this from my school. Then the German, he was so good and fluent in English. He had learned all knew the England from school. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy, and book Far from the Madding Crowd. So out there is no man's land. We were talking about many other topics related to countries, related to families, so on. Both were sharing the good bonds between. Or we can conclude by saying both armies, Tommy's and Fritz, enjoyed the company of each other. So Far from the Madding Crowd was his favorite novel. So what is there in the novel? So it's a love story. Love story which says that don't be fooled by the falsy guy. There is a guy who has a false identity and fools others. A guy who gets all the attention, possibly loves himself more than he loves you. The one who always... Hans Wolf shared his personal life, that he had a wife and a son, who a baby he had. As I looked, there were huddles of khakis and the grey all over at the no man's land. How they were enjoying? They were smoking, laughing, talking, drinking and eating. Next, Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of our wonderful Christmas cake, and that was prepared by Connie. So Hans Wolf loved it. He said, "This is the best ever cake I have ever tasted." We agreed for everything that we discussed, and we got to know that there never was a Christmas like this before. You can see the picture I am showing. Grey and khaki coats. Grey coats were there. Khaki coats are also there. And here in the middle you can see people are playing ball. And some are sharing hands, having rums together, talking, sharing snapses, drinks, liquor. And here they are enjoying the game. Then someone, I don't know who, brought football. Great coats were dumped in a piles to make a goal post, where they are playing in the no man's land, the land which belongs to none of the country. And next thing was Tommy against Fritz. So let me tell you one thing here. Tommy, that is England. Cricket is invented in England, so obviously they are good in cricket. And when it comes to Germany, they are too good in football. Against Fritz out in the no man's land, Hans Wolf and I looked on, cheered, clapping hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold. So they were all enjoying, playing, cheering each other, clapping, stamping their feet, so overall doing everything. They were leaving that particular time. There was a moment then we had to leave and go back to our trenches. It was like heart was wrenching. After going back to the trenches, again the two beautiful army will become enemies of each other. Breaths mingling in air between us. We saw it too and smiled, because they all were standing at the no man's land, talking with each other, standing in the same place. So they could observe that they are sharing same air. Jim Macpherson, he said after a while, "I think this is how we should resolve the war." What happens in the war? Loss of property, loss of life, families become imbalanced, women lose their husbands, children become orphan. So overall, there are various disasters caused by war. So taken from the book, The Christmas. Okay, No Man's Land is the one book, and another book is The Christmas Match. Like this, there are many books written on it. Some pictures I can show you on the screen. Then, I would prefer cricket. Jim Macpherson said, "I suggest you to play cricket because surely Tommy will win." We laughed at that. Together we watched the game. Sad to say Connie, Fritz won, obviously, because they are too good in football. But still Hans-Ulf encouraged them, saying that, "Don't worry, you played very well." The time came that we have to go back to our trenches. We all shared our rum, snaps, sausage, etc. And everything was over. Nothing was left for the rest. You can see, peace on earth, goodwill to all men. They wished each other, then they moved. And they both were supposed and hoped to war to end soon, so that they can get back to their families. I think that is every soldier wants on both sides. Hans-Ulf and I said to each other, "Take care." I shall never forget this moment, the moment where they celebrated Christmas together. Then they saluted to each other slowly and unwillingly. They were not willing to go back to their trenches. I felt. He turned to wave and just became hundreds of grey coats drifting back to their trenches. It was a sad feeling. You can see they are greeting each other's hand. The sadness could be seen on their faces, and they are going back to their trenches. The night, sitting at their own trenches in the dugouts, they heard singing carols. They shared the lyrics too. The line was said by their side and another one continued from this side. It was a silent night. Our boys gave them a rousing chorus. So both of the teams shared the lyrics. They shared their carols. We exchanged carols for a while and then we fell silent. We had a time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. He concludes that this is the unforgettable moment that I have lived and I can never forget it in my life. Then he concludes by saying, "Dearest Connie, Christmas by next year." This is the turning point in the lesson. Dearest Connie, Christmas next year, this war will be nothing but a distant and a terrible memory. I know from all that happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together soon, I'm sure of it. So Jim Macpherson said, don't worry, this is just a short time we have to stay distanced. As soon we will be meeting. I know after this event I realized that how both the armies long want peace. So you are loving Jim, and hey, thank you so much students for watching this video. Do like, share and comment. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you so much. All the best for your exams.